Hi everyone, it's Jenny here again. Welcome to the very first module for Preparation Skills for University. So this is a pretty important module, being the very first, and what you will find is that hopefully it will answer a lot of your questions. What we've tried to do is really just anticipate the sorts of questions that people have when they start off, not just in this subject but in steps. And if you work through this really carefully, hopefully you'll be feeling a lot more confident by the end of week 1 or by the end of module 1. Now, of course, the place to go to find these modules is the study guide, and if you have been doing that, and if you've started to read through module 1, you'll see that there are 3 parts to it. So the very first part is just a general introduction to the subject, prep skills. The second part, part B, is a more general introduction to the whole of steps. So it's a bit like a continuation of your orientation. So we try and help you become familiar with the key websites you need to know about, the terminology that we use here, and just generally show you around. And the very last part of this, the third part, is about more about you and self-reflection, and asking you to think about what it is that you want to get out of this experience, what you promise yourself about your commitment. It's really important to think about these things early on, and also to consider the skills and the resources and the knowledge that you bring to the learning table, because as adult learners you do have a lot of really valuable assets that you bring to the learning experience. Alright, so let's have a quick look at Moodle, and hopefully you're starting to become very familiar with this already. Now, the Getting Started tab was what we looked at in the last video, and if you haven't seen that video already, there it is, there's the link. I do suggest that you have a look at that one first. So basically for this video we're more interested in module 1, but before we get too much into the nitty-gritty of module 1, let's just remind you of the general format of this Moodle site. So you'll see over here on the left these blocks with different headings. So the information block is important. It has the course profile there, and there's also some information about the lecturers who are involved in this course, and you'll find those in the course contacts link. Now, the discussion forums we've talked about before, the introductions forum here where you can say hello to other students and also get to know others in your group. There's a link for those of you who are keen to join up with others and form some sort of study group. So it's a really good way to feel connected to others, especially if you're a distance student. So I do urge you to have a go at posting a message on the discussion forums. Now, the assessment block will give you more detail about the assessment. Of course, there is an overview of assessment in the course profile as well. But this will be where you go to complete the quizzes, and also where you go to upload 2 written pieces of assessment, and you will find more information about those assessment tasks there as well. Now, quiz 1 is due at the end of week 2, so just bear that in mind. The good thing is, by the time you finish all of module 1, you can actually complete quiz 1. So that shows you that it's really not a big quiz, it's not a lot of content, it's more or less to just give you a bit of a kickstart actually. And then the other thing to bear in mind is that even at the end of module 1 you can make a start on your first written piece of assessment as well, Learning Portfolio A, because that will build progressively. So just bear that in mind, and of course there is more information about each of the assessment tasks here at each link, and there'll be a video like this one to sort of give you some pointers. Now, the study materials block we've already talked about in the Getting Started video. Just to point out a couple of things in the support block. One is the link to IT help if you have any technical issues. There's the link to the library. The assessment extension request link might be something that you need to know about later on if, for whatever reason, you don't think that you can submit that assessment task on time. So just bear that in mind. That's where you will go to lodge that request. Alright, let's get back to Module 1 for now. Now these modules are all set out in a similar way. We start off by giving you the online version of the relevant study guide module, which is exactly the same as what's in your hard copy. Now there are a number of videos provided for you. There will be an overview video like this one for the start of each module. Now the lecture videos will become available as the term unfolds, and these are recordings of the actual lectures that take place on campus, and we get really good feedback about these. It's a really great way, especially for distance students, to feel like they are connected to something bigger than just themselves, that they're part of a learning community, and I hope that you do enjoy those lectures for each week. Now, we do provide you with the relevant pages from the Cottrell textbook, just because sometimes there are hold-ups for whatever reason, and so that people don't feel as if they're lagging behind, we provide those pages just for the first couple of weeks. But the assumption is that you will be buying that book. Now, we provide you with some resources that are directly related to the activities from your study guide. Now, for example, activity 1.1 is a really important activity. So when you click on this, if you hover over that, you'll see that's a live link. And if I open that up, whoops, there it is, PSU activity 1.1. And it's a checklist, and what you have to do is make sure that you can locate all those places online, that you understand some of the key terminology. So a heads up, if you do go through and diligently go through all of those pointers on that checklist, it's going to help you a lot with your first quiz. So there's a big hint right there. Now, even before you do that checklist, you might like to have a look at these 3 videos here. These are video tours from a student perspective, and Helen is the course coordinator sometimes for this subject. She has actually created these tours, and it's a great way to answer a lot of your questions. So I do urge you to have a look at those before you even attempt to complete that checklist. Now you'll see that there are other resources linked here that directly relate to those activities, and I just wanted to quickly mention the contract, which I did flick up here before by mistake. There it is again. So what we want you to do for this activity is to just think about what your commitment is to yourself, what you're promising yourself, and you can write down your thoughts here by hand, or you can type it if you like, and then you can hand that in to your on-campus lecturer if you're an internal student, or if you're a distance student, it would be a really terrific idea to send that to your support lecturer. They'd love to hear from you. Now, there are other useful resources there, a little bit about assessment, just a couple of reminders to get you started. And here are those same discussion forums, the same ones that we talked about before over in the discussion forums block. The ones that appear in the block over here, where are they, will change according to the week. Only the relevant ones for each module will appear there, but you can always go back to the actual module to find those particular forums. And don't forget about My First Weekend Steps. That's the very first forum, that's the one that's specifically for Module 1, and would really love to hear your thoughts about how you felt about your first week as a STEP student. I think we're nearly there. I just wanted to point out the checklist here. At the end of each module there is a checklist that you can download, and basically it's just a way of ensuring that you have completed all the key tasks for that particular week, and that you know that you're keeping up, and often students find that those are really, really handy. So again, there's a lot to take in at once, but if you just go through really carefully and slowly, you'll find that you will have a lot more confidence by the end of Module 1, and hopefully a lot of your questions will be answered. So all the very best. I really hope that you enjoy your start in prep skills and that it sets you up very nicely for the term ahead. So good luck with Module 1.